Hey guys, I'm Darrian and Mack.
And I'm Nicky, and this is Notification Squad on the Leaderboard.
So Notification Squad is a show that takes people behind the leaderboard, puts them in front of the camera, where we talk about your comments on our videos, we talk about games, and we give out prizes. So you're going to want to stay tuned through the entire show to make sure you get a chance to win. But Nicky, what are we talking about today?
Speaking of winning something, our first winner, Such Intriguing Thoughts, commented.
Oh yeah, Such Intriguing Thoughts.
Can you talk about some Overwatch stuff? And we kind of are today. We are talking about games that are similar to each other.
So I'm glad Such Intriguing Thoughts asked this question, because later in the week we're doing a video based on comparing Overwatch and Paladins.
If we're gonna do that, we should compare it to a bunch of other games.
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
But talking about games that are very, very similar and not going too deep into it because we're gonna save it for the video.
For those who don't know, Paladins is a first-person shooter that came out by hi-rez Studios about a year ago, and there was this big controversy between the Overwatch fans and people who are just getting in touch with the game.
There are a lot of similarities. If you just watch either trailer, back to back, you'll notice that some of the characters have very similar weapons, abilities. They also have very similar gameplay mechanics, like. There's point controls, there's move the payload, characters with bow and arrows flying around, you have ice, you have rocket launchers, you have all these things, but you can actually chalk this up to being very similar to, say, a game like Team Fortress 2.
There was just a lot of these comparisons that you were just talking about, all these different similarities between characters and art style and things of that nature. And it really brings us down to this big question. Is that unfair, right? Is
that cool?
Is that cool? Is it wrong for a game studio to seek inspiration from another game? I mean, the gaming industry, right, has been around for 40 years. So there's only but so much stuff that's new under the sun. First-person shooters have been around for a really, really long time. We've had RPGs that have been around for a really, really long time. You've got open worlds that have been around. You've got action adventure that have been around. So I mean, when you really think about it, there's only but so much transformation that you can do from one game to another.
You and I were talking earlier, and you kind of landed on that there's no way these two games could have been copying each other because of just the timeline of development.
Yeah, today's development cycle is like 2 years, 3 years at most, and these games came out within a year of each other, right? Like hi-rez Studios, they're the same people that made Smite. So they're familiar with kind of the MOBA scene, and then moving into a first-person shooter. They were releasing game footage about Paladins as an open beta before Overwatch before Blizzard even announced a lot of the details for Overwatch.
Yeah.
They may have been developing games at the same time.
Yeah, simultaneously, right next to each other. And it's very likely when you are developing games that are similar in nature that you end up with, a similar product.
Yeah, exactly. Even Todd Harris, who's the chief operating officer for hi-rez Studios, he was basically saying, look, and I quote, "While Overwatch is a fine game, it is not the inspiration for Paladins. Game development is an interactive process with ideas coming from many past projects. For the hero shooter genre, the game that deserves the most credit is Team Fortress 2. Paladins was conceived as a fantasy version of Global Agenda. Of the approximately 85 combat abilities currently in Paladins, the vast majority of them came from Global Agenda we made 10 years ago."
Yeah, and then you can chalk up having similar class or character play types that are very similar. You do have healers, you do have the tanks, and you have the people who are very defensive. Talking about games that I would play earlier that were very similar, I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 and 4 came out, that you had just a surge of all these open world games. You had games like Just Cause 2, you had State of Emergency. Even if you want to go into something more niche, you had Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Right.
How many people try to copy that game? And of course, they were maybe the first ones, but they weren't the first skateboarding game ever.
Exactly.
They were the first ones to have those kind of mechanics just dialed in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, it works. So let's just kind of piggyback off of that, or make it better. You see a lot of games that actually. When was the last time you played a race car game, where you actually drive using the right bumper instead of X?
Oh man.
You see what I'm trying to say? There was a game somewhere along the line was it feels better by driving a car by holding throttle with the right bumper versus pressing X.
But talking about car games, I just gotta get in here, because one of my favorite games that I will still pull out a PlayStation 1 to play is Twisted Metal 2. I also play Vigilante 8. And my brother and I spent hours and hours playing that, and we like both games for different reasons. Very similar, cars battling, not a lot of difference. One had story over the other, but the idea that these games, they can have similar motifs and you enjoy them less because they're similar, I think is a little a little much for people to just be mad at developers because their games are similar.
Even if you wanted to dissect it even further, kind of like what we were talking about, like, does it discount a band for sounding too similar to another band?
Exactly.
Right? And we're talking about that, like, why not both? There's a lot of people out there who are saying, like, no, you have to pick and choose. It's either this one or that one.
Yeah.
So if you do have to choose and decide, you in the comments let us know, is it Overwatch? Is it Team Fortress 2? Is it Paladins? Yeah. Let us know. Why not all three can coexist? Yeah. I'm sure there will be other games that are very similar. Adrian, my producer, showed me this new Overwatch mobile game that's very similar. And then we also have this new game coming out exclusively for PS4 and PC called Lawbreakers. Yeah, Lawbreakers. And that looks very similar.
Agents of Mayhem looks very similar, and it has but different gameplay mechanics. So, you know, I think I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments about it. And yeah.
Like, what's the difference between, say, NFL Blitz and, like,
Madden NFL?
Yeah.
Or NBA Live and NBA 2K.
You could argue that FIFA copies Mario Strikers.
Now, I would say, if a game develops some truly innovative mechanic and you see that innovative mechanic show up in another game, then we have a bit of a problem. It's like they didn't even try.
I think about Enter the Matrix when you had bullet time, and you also had Max Payne that had bullet time. Like, that was a mechanic that everyone was using.
Sure.
And, like, I couldn't tell you who was the first person to develop this, like, slow motion, like, for decision making. Yeah. You know, you see that actually in GTA 5. But, like, someone pioneered it, and they were the first one, and it made it so where other games could either take or borrow that mechanic, you know? And actually, we don't even consider that as, like, something that we took from another game. Yeah. It's just something that's like in there now. It's like a part of everything. Like, same thing, it's like, oh, you can have a car driving in the game as well as like a shooting mechanic. It's not separate anymore. You have all these mixed elements in a game.
And I would also say the thing that's probably most important, and this would be my final thought on it, is that story and character.
Okay.
And this is, I think, where Overwatch has done a really, well, Blizzard generally, but Overwatch has really done an incredible job at developing great storylines, even outside of the game, without an actual single-player mode or campaign mode. Like, they've developed a story and a universe. And when you really get down to games, that's what matters. Like, how are you advancing the story? How are you growing with these characters? How are you developing relationships with them? We can talk about the technology and the mechanics all day long, but if that isn't there, then you can see which games fly to the top and which ones don't.
That's like a deal breaker for you.
Yeah.
Story. See, because my final thought, which I will say, going off of what you're saying, you have games like Titanfall that didn't have a story mode, and the Titanfall 2, they actually had to go back and like put it in. So it's actually kind of not strange, but it's very unique to have a story mode in the sequel. You know, and that's something that like, you know,
Destiny 2 is trying out right now.
Yeah, and it's something that's like, you know what, we made a kick-ass game. It plays really well, but there actually isn't a story. If you had a game like Overwatch, how do all these characters fit, you know, together? Yeah. Or maybe they just straight up wanted to make just characters with different, you know, play styles, and just kind of making them different enough, and they look different in character design, and just throwing them into the ring. And then you're like, oh wait, actually there is no story there. Let's like take a step back. But like we said, Blizzard did actually do a good job of making a story. Yeah, and we're looking forward to your comments on this, because it's a kind of a big deal. And you can look forward to Overwatch versus Paladins coming soon on the leaderboard. Up next, we have in-game chat, the place where we like to feature you guys. Up first, we have a tweet from Slap-a-Fish, and he tweeted, @LeaderboardNet, yes, I subscribed at the right time. And he sent a screenshot, subscribed, 420 subscribers. Only if it was on 420. Only if it was June. That would have just made it a great day. This was all your picks right here. From Up first, we have a comment from StarCraft, Zickily7. Fact 22, it's Brood War, not Blood War. Check yourself. Sometimes, you know, doing these videos and things of that nature, we make mistakes. And I think a lot of times we get called out in the comments for it. Sometimes they're really funny. And you know, that was a pronunciation problem. And it was funny that somebody caught it. And that to me says you're paying attention. So if you see more mistakes, just call us out. I might laugh or I might not. So we have another comment from Daniel Sanchez. And Daniel says, I always knew League of Legends was secretly StarCraft. What does he mean by that? Well, you know, in the StarCraft video, there's a quick couple of seconds from an esports tournament featuring League of Legends.
And so during that segment of the video where we were talking about StarCraft, you know, we were using footage about competitive play to sort of illustrate the point. And there were a couple seconds where you saw a little bit of League of Legends. And so, you know, again,
how could we slip
just like
that?
Zickley 7, you know, people are paying attention. I love that people pay attention. It's not always great, but you know, you guys are paying attention and we're human. At least 90% of the video was still great.
I think I say at least 90% of us are human.
Our next comment comes from Motaba Mortada. Twintel is thick. Inkling Girls are thick, so they're all good games.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that logic.
I mean, but they are video game characters, so they're not real people.
Can't argue with that logic. So we had a great discussion on our last notification squad, and it was about ARMS, and we're talking about potentially having DLC. So Mr. Dream comes in and says, you want Mario and Link to be in ARMS? What about Little Mac? And his avatar is Little Mac. His arms could be made out of stretchy wireframe, thinking like the old Punch-Out games. And
a lot of comments on this one.
A lot of comments, and then also Doge also said Link's arms could be hook shots, and Little Mac's could be ropes, like from the ring, which I thought was really interesting. I would love to see what Nintendo thinks of for DLC.
I mean, I think if there's Sonic were in the game.
Okay, next comment. What is Sonic gonna do?
Sonic, you
just
know, he
fast?
could have Hedgehog.
Hedgehogs?
Fists. Hedgehog's fist, like use the spikes on his hands. Whatever.
Have you seen a hedgehog?
No, yeah, they got knuckles.
But you call them hedgehog fists as if like they were different than like his regular
needles.
Hands.
I meant they were needles. He could have needles for fists. Not hedgehog hands, needles for fists. Although it would be funny if his boxing gloves were his face again.
Captain Woomy says, Mario, Link, screw that. It's always been Lanky Kong from Mario 64. He was the monkey that had the long arms. He was like Dalsim, but like a monkey.
I'll take your word for it.
All right.
All right.
You love this one coming up. Gabe Stein says, what happened to the other 100 on 7 facts about arms?
These comments are so funny because we're known for 107 facts on the channel. If you're just new to the leaderboard, we make a lot of videos that go deep into kind of the development, the character, the story of
I'm gonna stop you right there. The Pink Bunny Empire, did you watch the whole thing? It's coming soon. And then Gabe Stein just said, I know, I was just joking.
So, I mean, I always appreciate the assist from our fans. And we may still do 100 facts on ARMS. And this week's comment of the week comes from Dino Booty. He said, I love how vastly different the comments between the leaderboard and channel Frederator are. The leaderboard's comment section is more ellipsis, strongly opinionated. And I talked to him, I was like, yeah, I know who you're telling. I see that all the time. Then Dino Booty responds, that's true. I love some game discussions myself, and I can get really fiery and passionate, especially when it comes to the storytelling. It's just a funny thing I observed after watching both Notification Squad shows. I wish I was commenting from mobile so I could add a few cry-laughing emojis, laughing out loud.
Thank you so much for that comment, Dino Booty. When you talk about, you know, and discussing with other commenters about video games, it can get really heated.
It can.
You know? Whereas I think, you know, cartoons, you can't really go wrong. You can play it safe, depending on the cartoon content you cover.
I mean, you can get passionate about a lot of different things, but I think with games, it's one of the most immersive art forms that's ever been created.
Would you rather play Overwatch or Paladins?
I would rather play Overwatch.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, Nicky.
So thank you so much for the comments. If you want to be featured on in-game chat, just leave a comment on this video or the previous video or any video for a chance to be featured.
Our next segment is Fan Roundup, where we shout out the squad and give out prizes.
Oh yes, and our first comment comes from EJ Augustin. What's up, early squad? Fexism. Wow, they literally named their show after YouTube comments and actually responded to that and be like, we have a full season on channel Frederator called Notification Squad. Go check it out. We had to shout out our boy.
Yeah. Had to shout him out.
Ryan Koschel, good morning Notification Squad.
And it was the first comment on our Notification Squad video.
And that's why we're shouting him out.
Yeah,
he is a legendary commenter. We don't know how he does it, but he's first on most of our videos on channel Frederator, and he's making his way to the leaderboard.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We love your love, Ryan. Thanks for being here.
Yomar Rodriguez, just subscribed and part of the Notification Squad. And then Captain Admiral said, I'm not in the Notification Squad though. And then Fallout War Never Changes, we have Notice Me. Hi.
You're noticed. Welcome.
Daniel Crowder, yes, finally a Notification Squad for the leaderboard. Also, totally loved this year's E3.
And our favorite part of Fan Roundup is How Well Do You Know a Game?
Where you can actually win prizes.
Right.
And last week we showed you this image, and as we slowly zoom out, you can figure out that it was Halo.
And the winner of How Well Do You Know a Game was Robin Alderwood.
That's
who
right.
said Halo.
That's
Make
right.
sure you DM us on Twitter with your contact information. So
At the leaderboard.
At the leaderboard net.
Yeah.
So we can give you your $10 gift card to Best Buy.
But those of you who are not quick enough or just got it wrong, you see all these comments, they're just
Yeah.
so close, I guess. But you're looking at an image right now, and if you know what this is, you can win a $10 gift card to Best Buy. So if you know what it is, be the first one to comment. And also to be eligible to enter, just check out the link in the description below for how well do you know a game rules.
Hey guys, and if you want to keep the conversation going, we have a Discord server, and the invitation link is below in the description.
So that's pretty much Notification Squad on the leaderboard. Be sure to give us a call at 347-948-6271 and let us know what's your favorite horror game. I swear, we have something
promise.
planned.
There's something planned for it. It will pay off. Just keep calling. We've already heard some really great voicemails, and we just want to hear a couple more.
And if you're not subscribed yet, definitely hit that subscribe button, and right next to it, hit that little bell to be notified whenever we upload a video, and you can be a part of the squad.
And we upload videos on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now on Sunday. And if you want to get more out of your games, keep it here on the leaderboard where we help you game smarter.
So that's in-game chat. For a chance to be featured, just comment on this video or the previous video or any of our videos, and we'll feature you in the video. So that's pretty much Notification Squad here on the leaderboard. Be sure to give us a call at 917-347.